I lived in Washington Heights, in New York City for my entire life. It has always been a rough neighborhood. Sometimes I hear store alarms going off, shots being fired and screaming. I got used to it eventually. Seeing a police car in my neighborhood was the norm for me, except this one day made me have a view on how scary Washington Heights could actually be. It was in the year of 2019. I was coming home from school one day. I went to school somewhere around Midtown Manhattan. The commute was no longer than 40 minutes. I got off at my stop and exited the train station from down underground. The walk to my home would take 5 minutes max. I would walk the same exact way every day, except this one day when I decided to walk through an alleyway for whatever reason that I can't even remember why I did that. Anyways, I entered the alley and a very foul smell hit my nose. It smelled like a dead person. I never knew what it smelled like, but at that minute, it was my highest guess. I slowly walked forward. I could sense that the smell was coming from in front of the garbage bin. I couldn't see what it was because the bin was blocking my view. I then walked forward more, and the sight I now saw made my eyes burn, and it felt like my eyes were in lava. What I saw was a man lying down with a knife stuck to his back. He had to have been stabbed. I didn't know what to do. I felt frozen. I didn't want to call the cops, because then they will probably think that I did the crime and I don't like snitching, so I ran out of there so fast all the way back home. I then entered the apartment building and then went inside my apartment. I ran through the door, breathing heavily. That whole night, the thought of that man with a knife inserted into his back stayed in my brain. I then made a promise to myself that I would never tell anyone about this. If I did tell them this, they would then think that I am suspicious. I also avoided any possible TV or article news about this. No one who lived in my neighborhood had ever talked about this, as far as I know, and not even my family told me about this. I went on the rest of the week, pretending like nothing happened and that I was fine when I really wasn't. I still went to a therapy session every week, but I was too afraid to ever tell my therapist this. On the Friday of that week, I was coming home from school and I wanted to go back to the alley to see if anything changed. So I walked to the alley and saw that it was perfectly clean, like the sight I saw last week was never there. Although I just said that I wouldn't tell anyone about this, I am now writing this as a story because I had to get it off of my chest. I don't know whatever came of that man, but I just hope that he did not die and that he is alive and all recovered. I used to work at an all-girls elementary Catholic school before retiring. At times I would enjoy my job, and at other times it would feel tiresome. However, this one day will give me chills until I see the dying light. One afternoon after lunch, it was my turn to take some of the girls in my class to do their prayers at the school church. I took every girl one by one out of the class and walked them there. I would open the door to the church and let the girls walk to the priest. They would do their prayers for 15 to 20 minutes, and after every time they walked out, they looked very frightened. Then came the last girl, and after she finished, she came out crying. I asked her what was wrong. She didn't say anything. She just shrugged her shoulders. Something must be up. There was a pattern. The day later then finished and everyone went home. I was really concerned about all of the girls I was with that day and about their well-beings. Did the priest do something? I couldn't think of anything else on why they were all freaked out. The next morning, all of the employees at the school along with me got an email from the head of school. It was said that the priest had been fired for molesting all of the girls. I felt like passing out at that moment. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't think it would go on a whole other level. It had to have been the last girl who told her parents the whole story. I thought this would do justice for the girls, but sadly it didn't. A week later, the priest was rehired. It was reported that he had appealed to the school board and told them God wanted to give me a second chance. I couldn't believe it. There was really nothing I could do about it as much as I wanted to. The priest is still working at that school today. Nothing that I know of had happened when he came back, and it appears as if all of the girls are safe and were not a victim of his. Most religious people would use God as an excuse for everything, but I am not one of them.